Small business war stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. Brought to you by Proven.com. And we are live. This is the first episode of Small Business War Stories, and I have my guest here with me today, Nano Whitman. How you doing, Nano?
I'm doing great.
Are you so excited that you're the first guest? Or
I'm beside myself.
Beside yourself.
So excited.
You know, I brought us beverages to celebrate. And,
Fantastic.
Since we are here at Home Slice Pizza in Austin, Texas, it is the middle of the afternoon. I figured we would have some Topo Chicos, which Topo Chico in no way endorses Small Business War Stories yet, but they're
on their way.
They're absolutely.
They just haven't caught on yet.
Yeah, they're absolutely delicious. Yeah. So cheers. There you go.
Should be some good burping.
That I think our listeners would love that.
No.
Awesome. So I'm here, like I said, at Home Slice Pizza in Austin, Texas, and Home Slice is an icon here in the community. A lot of people, when they talk about going to Home Slice, it's almost a religion. So we're going to talk today a little bit about you and your business, but also we want to talk about brand building and how you guys have gone about getting such a great following of folks. But yeah, maybe if you can introduce yourself for just a minute and tell me like how you got here, how you first got to Home Slice.
All right, so I moved to Austin in 2004. I was working at a steak and crab place that killed my soul.
Okay.
And every day I would ride my bike past this storefront that had nothing going on down a street that was starting to grow called South Congress, which is now the center of what Austin has come to stand for. And I saw a sign go up in the window that said Home Slice, hi. And I said, that's going to be pizza. I love pizza. I had worked in pizza in Boston, and I applied as soon as there was a number on the window. And I started as a bartender manager. We had 35 employees. I was the first employee. We now have 140 employees.
Wow.
And then my title is Director of Operations, and I just became a part owner.
Wow, congratulations. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. I didn't know that.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm somewhat disappointed you hadn't told me. That's a big deal. That's great. So tell me maybe what's something that people don't know about the pizza business that would surprise most folks?
Pizza is all about consistency. It's about making one pizza really well. That's a skill. Not everybody can do it, but a lot of people can make one excellent pizza. What I found incredibly challenging about the pizza business is having 1,000 perfect pizzas made. We make between 4,000 and 6,000 pizzas a week.
Wow.
We care about every single pizza. We want every single guest experience to be perfect.
Yeah.
And making 6,000 of something perfectly, you can't do it yourself. So it's all about getting a lot of other people on board with what your goal is.
That's great. It's
really hard.
I bet. So I bet a lot of getting everybody on the team on the same page is important there.
Yeah.
So tell me about a funny customer story. What's the funniest? You probably see a lot of folks coming through here. South Congress is kind of this epicenter in Austin, so you get a lot of bachelor and bachelorette parties and a lot of folks that maybe have had a couple of adult beverages. What's the funniest customer story they can think of?
Funniest customer story. When I think about our customers, the people that stand out to me are the ones who've gotten really attached to Home Slice as a part of their life. We have this annual event, this carnival, and people who win the hands on an eggplant sub competition and win a year of free pizza, which is you put your hand on a sub and the last one to take his or her hand off the sub wins free pizza for a year.
Wow.
Those have been my favorite customers over the years. First of all, they're crazy.
Yeah.
And they stand there for up to 70 hours with their hands on a sub. Bathroom breaks every 10 hours. It's crazy.
Every 10 hours?
Yeah, that's how. And they have to stand, no sleeping. It's nuts. So one guy won 4 years in a row, and he started a blog where he would bring somebody out for pizza, and then the next week that person would invite somebody, and then the next week that person would invite somebody. So he had dinner with perfect strangers that had been invited by his previous guest for a year and kept a blog, and it was the year of pizza. It was fantastic.
That is so cool. I'm sure that has to help your brand when you have your customers as such big advocates, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was going to talk about it later, but since you bring it up, let's talk about the Carnival of Pizza, because when I moved here to Austin, it was just something that immediately I saw the kind of sideshow type posters, and I know it's a big event. So tell me about that. How did that come about, and what is it? What is it? First of all, for our listeners, what is the Carnival of Pizza?
The Carnival of Pizza is a celebration of all things pizza. We bring pizzerias in Texas together to compete, dough tossing competitions. There's an eating competition. There's the hands-on eggplant sub competition. Kids games. It's a community event. It's always a fundraiser for a benefit organization. We've raised over $100,000 over the last 5 years for a local nonprofit that we care about.
Yeah.
But pizza is this really special thing because it's a shared food. It's a multi-generational food, and pizza just brings people together. So we do this event to celebrate pizza. It's sort of based on Coney Island and the San Gennaro Festival in Little Italy in Manhattan.
Wow.
And we hand paint all the signs. Feels like a very homegrown Austin, keep it weird kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of effort.
I bet.
But it is really fun.
So how long has it been running?
10 years.
10 years.
11 years? 11 years.
11 years. So now I know it's a big deal. Now I'm sure that there's been some learning pains along the way, right? So how was it? So for maybe some of our
learn the same lessons.
Right. So some of our listeners are probably thinking, well, they've been around for a while, they've been doing this, but tell me about when you contrast the earlier carnivals of pizza to today, what's the difference, and what have you learned, and how do you start out if you want to try something like this?
I think in the beginning, the biggest lesson is in the beginning we would have one person own the event and try to muscle the event through by him or herself. And we were also trying to run the restaurant, and we were just spread way too thin. Over the years, we've all learned our piece. And now it just comes together so much more organically because we trust each other as a team.
Yeah.
Those of us who are running the event to get your part done and your part done. The bars are taken care of. The booths are taken care of. The entertainment is taken care of. The stages are taken care of.
Yeah.
And we've learned how to work as a team way better over the years, where no one person gets killed.
Sure. I'm sure you have some funny stuff too happen during the carnivals, right?
I mean, yeah. The eating contest is always a crazy event.
Yeah?
Projectile vomiting.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
Absolutely. I mean, nothing makes a crowd smile like projectile vomiting.
A Roman event.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about your brand and how you've built this cult-like following. So your social media is amazing. You have 15,000 Twitter followers, 25,000 Facebook likes, and 5,000 Instagram likes and followers. A lot of people love engaging with your social media. Has that been accidental and organic, or has that been something that you guys have put a lot of thought into? How has that worked out?
So Home Slice really lucked out because we got the best location at the exact right moment in Austin you could imagine. Right as social media became something that people cared about.
Yeah.
Right? 2005 is when we opened, and for a long time we gave absolutely no importance to social media.
Yeah.
Eventually we hired a guy internally who handled all of our tweets and Facebook posts, but it wasn't really he was great at it, but it wasn't that organized, and we didn't have a real direction. Only in the last 6 months have we hired a PR company to handle it.
Okay.
And I feel that they've taken it to the next level.
Yeah.
And are really targeting our networking with other people and liking tastemakers and trying to cross-pollinate with other people.
That's great.
Also, a really consistent, coherent brand to the photos and our style.
Yeah.
But that was hard because we're still training that PR company to think like we do.
Yeah.
And that's difficult. I think that what I've seen is that social media is really successful when an owner invests in it and cares, because they are the only one who really understands the brand.
There has to be a champion.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to teach somebody a brand. I've been working here 11 years. I've been here since before we opened. And I do feel that I can speak for our company.
Yeah.
But I think the owners probably thought it took many more years than it took me to feel that way. And I totally get that. It's their baby. And if I had my own company, it would be my baby. And now this is my baby. But I think social media is one of those things where you really want to control the aesthetic and the vibe. And it's very hard to put your finger on what that is.
Yeah, so actually, when people think about the Home Slice brand, so if you say to somebody, when they think Home Slice Austin, what do you want them to feel?
Well, we want them to think of it as an institution. So most people don't know that it's only been open 11 years.
Yeah.
They think it's been here forever.
Yeah.
Most people have moved to Austin in the last 5 years. So they think it's been here forever. We want people to think that it's always been here and that it will always be here. Lombardi's in Little Italy is 106 years old, something like that, or 111 years old.
Yeah.
We want to be here in 100 years, and we want people to think of us that way. We want people to think that they belong to our family. So we want them to think of family. We want them to think that we are a company with a conscience.
Yeah.
We do not want them to think about how much money we make. We want them to think about how much happiness we create.
Yeah.
And I also get a very strong nostalgia as part of our brand. This is about the inner child.
Yeah.
And
I brought my family here when they were in town, and it feels like a family, like a really welcoming place.
You want to have a sense of that Italian grandmother, and that little Italian 3-year-old, who gets
I wish our audience could see your amazing hand gestures of it makes me feel like my grandmother's here right now. That's amazing. How do you guys deal with Yelp? So a lot of small businesses have maybe challenges sometimes with people voicing. You guys have great Yelp reviews, but has there been an occasion in the past when things maybe didn't go as well there, and how did you guys handle it?
Every day.
Yeah.
But I do think that if you think you're going to control your Yelp in a reactive way, or your reviews in a reactive way, you're going to fail. You need to actually have integrity before anybody's writing any review, right? But of course, being 100% consistent when you're making 6,000 pizzas a week and taking care of thousands of people is next to impossible. So there will be negative Yelp reviews. One thing is, we truly, truly are grateful when somebody leaves a negative review. Yeah. We see that 99 times out of 100, we see that as an opportunity to improve and to train our staff and ourselves about something we may not have even known about, or that is a blind spot, right? So that is an honest response. We actually want to see that. I think that has been key. And then other than that, we just make sure that somebody's monitoring those responses and that we get back to those people and do everything we can to turn a negative experience around. If there are more loyal customers, I think in general in business, but there are more loyal customers out there for us who had a negative experience and let us know, and then now are our biggest fans. Yeah. Well, we have a lot of fans that just have had good experiences, I hope. But I mean, we've done a. No, I hear you. We see it as an opportunity to make an even more loyal customer.
That's awesome. So but a big part of that is staying on top of it, right? So you have
somebody monitors it.
You have to see it, and usually, what do you think is the response time that you think is appropriate for you to be able to actually do that? Because if let's say I come in and have a negative experience and leave a bad Yelp review, and it takes you a month to get back to me, it might not be as effective, right? So how do you think about that?
I think that people are much more prone to talk about their negative experiences at a business than they are their positive ones. So for every hour that you wait to respond, there's a chance that they're out there spreading a negative message about who you are. Yeah. We are not as consistent as I would like to be in terms of getting back to people within a few hours. Our Facebook messages are easier for us to manage. We get fewer of them. But we try to get back within 24 hours to all of our Yelp reviews that we think we can build on. And I've got to say we've been inconsistent about that because it's, once again, the way you respond has to be earnest and has to be on brand. Yeah. And there really aren't that many people, though we have 140 employees, there aren't that many people who write with our brand. Right. From the voice of what the owners conceived of as Home Slice. Right. And it's a very difficult thing to learn. You have to really be committed to that. So I think that's really important.
What I'm hearing is that it's an everyday thing, and it's not an accident, and you have to constantly work at it.
Yes.
It's like working out. Just because you worked out last week, it doesn't mean you shouldn't work out next week.
Exactly. Yeah. Damn right. And you got to train. If you're not going to do it, you've got to train somebody and be monitoring those responses. So I recently stopped writing the Yelp review responses. Yeah. And another guy on
Sorry, ladies, he's no longer writing the Yelp review responses.
So true. Another guy who is an owner, but he's a kitchen. He's the head of our kitchen.
Yeah.
He's writing them now. He's learning how to be essentially a front of house voice.
Yeah.
He's a wonderfully erudite, educated, verbal guy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of nuances to staying on brand, turning these experiences around.
Yep.
We're all learning.
Of course, every day.
Every day.
Do you guys do any paid advertising?
We do no paid advertising.
Wow. And you're building this huge brand and this cult following with no paid advertising.
Right.
That is like a dream for most small business owners.
Yes.
Wow.
I feel very fortunate to be a part of a business that does no paid advertising.
Not even the Carnival of Pizza.
Well, so we do a lot of donations.
Okay.
So we have two huge marketing expenses. One is all the donations we do.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the realm of $12,000 in pizza a year.
Wow.
And our event, the Carnival, which sometimes breaks even making $20,000 for the organization, or sometimes we have paid as much as $20,000 just to make that donation. Yeah. So that's a big piece of it, and we try to stay relevant in the community, and we have. And
so you guys, maybe this is a good time to bring up that you're a very successful musician here in Austin. Had a lot of live performances over the years, and a following of people here. You can check them out on Spotify and Nano Whitman. Some great music. So I know that you guys have a lot of investment in the music community, and you support a lot of folks here in town. How do you maybe think about what you're doing with the music community, and how do you see Austin growing and the music community, and where do you see that going?
Where do I?
Well, how do you think? Let's start with maybe where do you see the how Home Slice supports that community, and then I guess where
I would say this.
Yeah.
Number one, probably 60% of the people that work in our front of house are in bands or are artists.
Wow.
Yeah, Austin is just teeming with musicians.
Absolutely.
And they need jobs that aren't music, because music doesn't pay for things.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. So they sell pizza.
Yeah.
And our commitment to our employees, maintaining the ability for them to have flexible schedules, allowing people who are good workers to go on tour and come back and have a job. I really, and I think I speak for everybody, we really value the fact that there are a lot of great, talented people working here.
Yeah.
They have to be committed to what we are doing as well.
Yep.
They can't just view this as their bogus job.
Yep.
But I find that people in general that we want to spend time with are people who work their hardest no matter what they're doing. So they're working hard on their music, and they're working hard at Home Slice too. So I think that that's a big piece. We sponsor events, album releases, parties. We make sure we want to see our pizza at those places for them to love us, for the artists to love us, and so that we can show our love for the artists. We super value the artistic community in Austin.
How has maybe were there any lessons that you learned in music that helped you with the business here at Home Slice?
Gosh, it's so the other way around.
Really?
Yeah. Home Slice helped my music more than music helped Home Slice, I think.
Wow. Okay.
There are a bunch of things, but most importantly, if you're running your own band, you're actually a So I learned how to manage people and create expectations and learned how to follow through and create actionable lists, and which these days in the music industry, you need to be everything, right? You can't just hole yourself up and write a perfect song and somebody's going to find you and make all your albums and make it all work for you. I mean, maybe there are those lucky few. But for the most part, you need to be your marketing, you need to be your production, you need to be your accountant, you need to be and you need to be the manager of everybody that works on your music, and you need to have a clear idea of what your brand is. So I learned so much more about music and how to do that from Home Slice. Not to mention the fact that it turns out that people really like pizza, and they were they were very open to helping me out in my music because they knew I was associated with Home
great.
Slice.
That's great. And thinking about the music scene here in Austin and the vibe and the character of Austin that's so compelling to so many people, where do you see Austin going in the next 5-10 years?
Well, that's the half a $1 billion question for the city, right? I mean, all of these high rises that are going up and the extreme growth in competition with the music venues.
Yeah, we were talking about the Continental
and
Club and the parking situation. And
parking and sound ordinances and the cost of living for artists.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much more expensive to live in Austin now than it was 10 years ago.
Right.
All of our employees are having to move further and further away, and that's a real problem.
Yeah. What's your favorite spot in Austin? Where do you love to go?
Immediately what comes to mind is this bar called Stay Gold, which is great jazz or soul. It feels like a dive, but it feels but there's leather, and I just love how kind people in Austin are. I feel welcome everywhere I go, and I try really hard to be welcoming. There's so many people that have moved to Austin. There's so much new stuff happening. It would be really easy to get jaded and feel like the old Austin is dying.
Yeah.
But when a new place like Stay Gold opens that uses, I think they took furniture from an old Austin place.
Yeah.
The guys who own it have been in Austin forever and used to run Hole in the Wall, which is this iconic music venue.
Absolutely.
And they just keeping the not pretentious but really cool and welcoming vibe and the music. I mean, you can walk into Stay Gold any night and you're gonna be impressed and enjoy whatever's being played. At least I am.
Nice. I love the East Side neighborhood support there too. That's
right.
That's awesome. Great. Well, anything else that you want our listeners to know about Home Slice? They can find you here on South Congress, right in the heart of one of the most compelling districts in town. Anything else that you want to share with people? Invite them to come by and check you out.
We are known for our pizza, but our sandwiches are
That's
what it's
right,
all
that meatball
about.
sandwich.
Meatball sub, the Italian, I'm from Philly, the Italian hoagie, call it a sub here.
Yeah.
So good. We make the bread here every day. Don't miss the subs.
Yeah. Nano, you're a rock star in every sense of the word. Cheers, and thank you so much for being our first guest at Small Business War Stories.
I am honored.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Small Business War Stories. If you enjoy the show, share it with a friend or subscribe to our podcast. You can also email us suggestions. Is there a guest you think would be great here? Email us at podcast@proven.com. Small Business War Stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. Brought to you by proven.com.